The water is everywhere. Matt Lewis clings to the capsized life raft, his fingers already numb. Around him, the Southern Ocean churns, black, infinite, and merciless. Men are screaming. Some are silent. The cold steals your voice before it steals your life. The ship is gone, the crew is scattered, and the night has just begun. Only a few would survive until morning. Matt Lewis was one of them. 6 hours earlier. The storm wasn't supposed to be this bad. The Sudur Havid, a 55-meter Icelandic trawler, was fishing for Patagonian toothfish in some of the most hostile waters on Earth. The Southern Ocean, south of New Zealand, where waves can rise like mountains and the wind never stops. Matt Lewis was the factory manager, British, experienced. He'd been at sea long enough to know when something felt wrong. And on the morning of September 23, 1998, everything felt wrong. The wind picked up fast, too fast. The seas were building, long, rolling swells that made the deck tilt at angles that shouldn't be possible. The crew, a mix of British, Icelandic, and Chilean fishermen, moved quickly, securing gear, battening hatches. But the real problem wasn't the storm. It was the ship. The Sudur Havid was old, converted from a passenger vessel decades before, patched together, pushed too hard. And now, in the middle of the Southern Ocean, it was starting to fail. The pumps couldn't keep up. Water was coming in faster than they could push it out. The engine room was flooding. The bilge alarm screamed, shrill and relentless, cutting through the roar of the storm. Matt stood on deck, gripping a railing as the ship rolled. The horizon disappeared. The sky was the same gray as the sea. You couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. "We're taking on water," someone shouted. Matt didn't need to be told, he could feel it. The ship was sluggish, heavy. Every wave that hit her, she sat lower. Below deck, the crew worked desperately. Some tried to shore up the leaking hull with whatever they could find. Timber, canvas, desperation. Others manned the pumps, but the water kept rising. The engine sputtered. Then it died. Without power, the ship couldn't turn into the waves. She wallowed, beam on to the swells. Each wave hit her broadside, rolling her violently. Gear broke loose. Men were thrown against bulkheads. The lights flickered, and then the lights went out. "Get everyone on deck!" The order came fast. Matt moved through the darkened corridors, yelling, pulling men toward the ladder. The ship was listing now, tilting hard to starboard. Walking felt like climbing. When they reached the deck, the full force of the storm hit them. The wind was a living thing. It tore at their clothes, their skin. The waves rose higher than the ship's rail, crashing down with enough force to knock a man overboard in an instant. The captain, Asgeir Viglandsson, was at the bridge, or what was left of it. His face was pale. He'd already sent the distress call. "Mayday, mayday, Sudur Havid sinking." But they were 1,600 miles from anywhere. The nearest rescue assets were hours away. Maybe longer. Matt looked at the crew. 26 men. Some young, some barely spoke English. All of them knew what was happening. The ship was dying. "Get the life rafts ready," the captain shouted. The crew scrambled. There were 2 inflatable life rafts stored on deck, designed to deploy automatically when they hit the water. But nothing on the Sudur Havid worked the way it was supposed to. The first raft inflated. Men grabbed it, held it down as the wind tried to rip it away. The ship lurched. A massive wave slammed into the port side. The deck disappeared under white water. When it cleared, 2 men were gone. Just gone. No screams, no chance to grab them. The ocean took them in seconds. Matt's heart hammered. This was real. This was happening. Men were dying. "Get in the raft, now!" The crew began piling in, but the raft was chaos. It was designed for 12. They were stuffing in more. Men clung to the sides. The wind howled. The sea reached up and tried to drag them down. Matt was one of the last to leave the deck. He looked back at the Sudur Havid, a ship that had been their entire world for months, and watched her settle deeper into the water. She didn't have long. The second raft deployed. Some men jumped, some fell. The Southern Ocean didn't care which. Matt hauled himself into the first raft, gasping. His hands were shaking. Around him, men were soaked, bleeding, terrified. The raft was already taking on water. "Where's the pump?" Someone found it, started pumping, but the seals were bad. The cold made the rubber stiff. Water sloshed around their legs. The storm didn't ease, it got worse. Waves 20, 30 feet high. The raft climbed each one, teetering at the crest, then plunged into the trough. Men vomited, some prayed, others went silent, eyes wide, staring at nothing. Matt tried to count, tried to see who made it into the rafts. He couldn't. The Sudur Havid rolled one last time. Her hull groaned, a sound like a dying animal. Then she slipped beneath the surface. No explosion, no dramatic sinking. She just disappeared, and 26 men were left floating in the most violent ocean on Earth. In the dark, in the cold, with nothing but 2 failing life rafts and the knowledge that rescue was nowhere close. Matt looked around at the faces in the raft. Some were crew he knew well. Some he'd barely spoken to. He didn't know if any of them would survive the night. The raft is a coffin made of rubber. That's the thought that won't leave Matt's mind as the Southern Ocean throws them into the sky, then slams them down again. Every wave feels like it could be the last. Every time they crest, he thinks, this is it, we're going to flip. And then they don't. And then the next wave comes. There are 11 men in this raft, maybe 12. Matt can't count anymore. They're packed so tight that bodies merge into one mass of wet clothes and frozen skin. Someone is crying. Someone else is silent, head lolled back, eyes half open. Keep bailing, Matt shouts. They have a small hand pump, but it's useless. For every liter they push out, 2 more pour in through the failing seals. The raft wasn't meant for this. It wasn't meant for the Southern Ocean in a force 10 gale. The cold is worse than the waves. Matt's clothes are soaked through. The wind chill is well below freezing. His fingers have gone from painful to numb. He can't feel his feet. Hypothermia doesn't announce itself. It just creeps in, degree by degree, until your body starts shutting down. Someone grabs his arm. Where's the other raft? Matt scans the darkness. It's nearly impossible to see. The storm has blotted out the moon, the stars. There's only the white foam of breaking waves and the black void between them. I don't know, Matt says. The second raft had launched just after theirs. He'd seen men scramble into it, maybe 10, maybe more. But in the chaos, in the dark, they'd been separated almost immediately. They're out there, Matt says. He doesn't know if he believes it. A wave lifts them again. At the top, for just a second, Matt sees something. A small shape 100 meters away. Then they drop and it's gone. I saw them, someone yells. Where? There, I saw... Another wave crashes over the raft. Men scream. Water floods in. For a moment, Matt is underwater, blind, choking. Then the raft bobs back up, somehow still intact. One man is gone. He'd been sitting on the edge trying to hold the canopy down. Now his spot is empty. Where's Tommy? He went over. Did anyone see? He's gone. No one says anything after that. The Southern Ocean doesn't give you time to mourn. It doesn't let you process. A man is there and then he isn't. And you keep bailing water because if you stop, you'll die too. Matt forces himself to think, to plan. But there's nothing to plan. They're drifting. No radio. It went down with the ship. No flares. They're soaked and useless. The raft has a small emergency kit, but it's mostly empty. A few seasickness tablets. A flashlight that doesn't work. They are alone. Rescue will come. Matt knows that. The captain sent the distress signal. Someone heard it. The New Zealand authorities will dispatch a plane, a ship, something. But when? Hours, maybe a day, maybe more. Can they last that long? Matt looks at the men around him. Some are young, crew in their 20s who'd signed on for the money, the adventure. Others are lifers, weathered fishermen who'd spent decades at sea. None of them had expected this. One of the older guys, Icelandic names John, leans close. We need to tie the rafts together, he says. If we lose sight of them... Matt nods. You're right. But they've already lost sight of the other raft. And even if they hadn't, how would they reach it? The rafts have no oars, no paddles. They're at the mercy of wind and current. We'll find them at first light, Matt says. John doesn't reply. He knows as well as Matt does. First light is hours away, and some of the men won't make it that long. The storm doesn't ease. Hours blend together. Time becomes meaningless. There's only the endless cycle. Wave, bail, hold on, don't let go, don't fall asleep. Matt fights to stay focused. He knows the signs of hypothermia, confusion, slurred speech. The irresistible urge to sleep. "Stay awake," he says to the man next to him. "Keep moving your fingers, your toes." The man doesn't respond, his lips are blue. "Hey, look at me." The man's eyes open, glassy and distant. "What's your name?" "Carlos." "Carlos, stay with me, we're going to make it, you hear me?" Carlos nods, but Matt can see it in his face, he's slipping away. Matt pulls him closer, trying to share body heat. It's not enough, it's never enough. Another man starts talking, rambling about his family, his kids. Matt lets him talk. Anything to keep him conscious. But one by one, the voices in the raft grow quieter. Some men slump forward. Some slide into the water, pooling at the bottom of the raft. Matt tries to keep them upright, but his own strength is fading. "How long has it been?" someone asks. Matt checks his watch. It stopped. The water got inside. "I don't know," he says. "It feels like days. It's probably been 4 or 5 hours." "Are they coming?" "Yes." "When?" "Soon." Matt doesn't know if that's true. He just knows it's what they need to hear. At some point, maybe 3 in the morning, maybe later, the sea changes. The waves are still massive, but the wind eases slightly. The raft stops flipping as violently. For the first time since the ship went down, Matt allows himself to breathe. And then he hears it. A voice. Faint, distant, carried on the wind. "Hello?" Matt sits up, heart pounding. "Did you hear that?" The other men stir. Some don't respond, but one, John, nods. "The other raft," he says. "Hello," Matt shouts. His voice is raw, cracked. "Can you hear us?" Silence. Then barely audible. "We're here." "How many?" Matt yells. No response. "How many of you?" The voice comes back, weaker this time. 6, we lost some. Matt closes his eyes. 6. Out of 10, maybe 12. Half the men in that raft are gone. "Hold on," he shouts. "Stay together." But the voice doesn't answer again. And in the darkness, Matt has no idea how far away they are. Dawn breaks slowly, reluctantly. The sky turns from black to gray. The storm is still raging, but at least Matt can see now. He counts the men in his raft. 8. There had been 11, maybe 12. 3 are gone, maybe 4. He can't remember anymore. Some of the survivors are unconscious. One man's hands are black with frostbite. Another is barely breathing. Matt scans the horizon. And there, maybe 200 meters away, he sees it. The other raft. It's upside down. Men are clinging to it, half submerged in the water. Matt can see them moving, but barely. "They flipped," someone shouts. "We have to get to them." But they can't. The rafts have no way to steer. The current is pulling them in different directions. Matt watches, helpless, as the capsized raft drifts farther away. One of the men clinging to it lets go. He just lets go. His head disappears beneath a wave. He doesn't come back up. "No," Matt whispers. Another man slips away. Then another. "Do something," someone in Matt's raft screams. But there's nothing to do. They can only watch as the men in the water, one by one, lose their grip on life. By the time the sun is fully up, the capsized raft is empty. No one is clinging to it anymore. Matt stares at the empty raft, drifting alone in the gray sea. And he realizes they're not going to make it, not all of them. Maybe none of them. There's a moment, somewhere around hour 12, when Matt Lewis stops feeling cold. That's when he knows he's in trouble. Hypothermia is a liar. It whispers that you're okay. It makes you warm when you're freezing. It makes you tired when sleep means death. Matt forces his eyes open. Around him, the raft is quieter now. Some of the men have stopped moving. He doesn't know if they're unconscious or dead. He's afraid to check. The storm has eased, but only slightly. The waves are still 12, 15 feet. The sky is still gray. The cold is still everything. "Anyone see a plane?" someone asks. Matt looks up, nothing but clouds. "Not yet." "They're coming though, right?" "Yeah," Matt says, "they're coming." He has to believe that. Because if rescue doesn't come, then none of this matters. Not the raft, not the bailing, not the fight to stay conscious. There'll just be 26 more names on a list of men the Southern Ocean claimed. John is still alive, still moving. He's one of the stronger ones, physically, mentally. He catches Matt's eye. "We need to talk about the others," John says quietly. Matt knows what he means. There are men in the raft who aren't going to make it. Men whose breathing has gone shallow. Men whose skin has turned waxy and pale. Men whose eyes have stopped focusing. "What do we do?" John asks. Matt doesn't answer right away. What can they do? There's no medical equipment, no way to warm anyone up. No way to treat shock or frostbite or hypothermia. We keep them alive as long as we can, Matt finally says. John nods, but they both know what that means. Sometimes keeping someone alive just means watching them die slowly. Carlos is gone. The young Chilean man who'd been sitting next to Matt for hours. The one Matt had tried to keep talking to keep warm. He's gone. His body is still in the raft, slumped against the side, but there's no pulse, no breath. Matt stares at him for a long time. He'd tried. He'd pulled Carlos close, rubbed his arms, talked to him. But the cold doesn't care about effort. We should... John starts, then stops. Matt knows what he's going to say. They should move the body, put it in the water, make more room in the raft. But Matt can't, not yet. Leave him, Matt says. John doesn't argue. The worst part isn't the cold, it's not the waves, it's not even the fear. It's the waiting. Every minute feels like an hour. Every hour feels like a day. Matt keeps checking the sky, scanning the horizon, listening for the sound of an engine. Nothing. How long has it been? Someone asks again. I don't know. Feels like forever. I know. One of the men, British, named Dave, starts talking. His voice is slurred, rambling. My daughter's birthday is next week, he says. She's turning 7. I promised I'd be home. You will be, Matt says. I got her a bike. It's in the garage, red, with streamers on the handlebars. She's going to love it. Dave smiles. His lips are cracked and bleeding. Yeah, she will. Then he closes his eyes. Dave? No response. Dave, stay with me. But Dave doesn't open his eyes again. Around midday, or what Matt thinks is midday, the sea calms slightly. The waves are still big, but the wind drops. For the first time since the ship went down, it's possible to think clearly. Matt takes stock. There are 6 men left in the raft, 6 out of 11, maybe 12. He's lost count. Some are conscious, some aren't. One man's hands are so badly frostbitten that his fingers have started turning black. Another is coughing up seawater, his lungs probably full of fluid. Matt himself is shaking uncontrollably. His teeth won't stop chattering. Every muscle in his body aches, but he's alive. For now. We're going to make it, he says out loud. John looks at him. You believe that? Matt nods. I have to. The hardest decision comes in the afternoon. One of the men, older Icelandic fisherman named Einar, has been unconscious for hours. His breathing is shallow. His pulse is weak. His skin is cold to the touch. John checks him, then looks at Matt. He's not going to make it. Matt knows he's right, but he can't bring himself to say it. Maybe when rescue comes. Matt, John's voice is firm. He's dying, and if we don't make more room, we're all going to die. Matt looks at Einar, a man who'd spent 40 years at sea, who'd survived storms and shipwrecks before, who deserved better than this. We're not putting him in the water, Matt says. We have to. Not while he's still breathing. John stares at him for a long moment, then nods. Okay. But an hour later, Einar stops breathing. And this time, John doesn't ask. He just lifts the body carefully, respectfully, and lowers it into the sea. Matt watches as Einar's body floats for a moment, then slips beneath the surface. Another man gone. Another name Matt will have to remember. As the afternoon wears on, Matt starts to understand something terrible. They're not going to be rescued in time. The distress signal went out almost 24 hours ago. If a plane or ship was coming, it should have been here by now, which means something went wrong. Maybe the signal didn't get through. Maybe the coordinates were off. Maybe the weather is too bad for rescue assets to launch, or maybe they're just too far out, too isolated, too small a target in an ocean that swallows everything. Matt doesn't say any of this out loud, but he sees it in John's face, in the eyes of the other survivors. They're thinking the same thing. This might be it. This might be how they die. Around sunset, or what feels like sunset, it's hard to tell, one of the men starts laughing. Not a normal laugh. A high, brittle sound that makes Matt's skin crawl. We're dead, the man says, still laughing. We're already dead. This is hell. Stop it, John says. We're ghosts. We drowned and we don't even know it. Shut up. But the man keeps laughing until he starts crying. Then he goes silent. Matt doesn't have the energy to comfort him. He just sits there, numb, staring at the water. Night falls again. The second night, Matt doesn't know if he can survive another one. His body is shutting down. He can feel it. His thoughts are slower. His vision is blurry. His heart is beating irregularly. He thinks about his family, his wife, his kids. He wonders if they know yet, if someone's told them. He wonders if they'll ever find his body. Matt. He looks up. John is staring at him. Don't fall asleep. I'm not. Yes, you are. I can see it. Don't. Matt nods, but his eyes are so heavy. Talk to me, John says. Tell me something, anything. Matt tries to think. His mind is sluggish. I have a dog, he says finally. Golden retriever, named Biscuit. John smiles. Biscuit? My daughter named him. That's a good name. Yeah. They sit in silence for a while. Then John says, I'm going to see my dog again. You're going to see Biscuit. I hope so. You will. We both will. Matt wants to believe him. But the Southern Ocean has already taken so many. Why would it give them back? There's a point where time stops meaning anything. Matt doesn't know if it's been 30 hours or 40. If it's day or night, if he's awake or dreaming. The raft rocks, the waves crash, the wind howls, and he just exists. Barely. 4 men left now. Matt, John, and 2 others. One of them, a young British deckhand named Simon, is unconscious but still breathing. The other, an Icelandic engineer named Christian, is awake but silent. He hasn't spoken in hours. Matt watches them and feels the weight of it pressing down on him. He's the factory manager. He was responsible for some of these men. Not officially, not in the chain of command, but in the way that matters. They looked to him. They trusted him. And he couldn't save them. Carlos is dead. Dave is dead. Einar is dead. Tommy fell overboard in the first hour. How many others? Matt can't remember their names anymore. Can't remember their faces. He's failing. He's always been failing. It's not your fault, John says quietly. Matt looks at him. What? I can see it. You're blaming yourself. I should have. What could you have done? Matt doesn't answer. The ship was sinking. John continues. The storm was killing us. You didn't cause that. You're just another man in a raft, same as me. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like Matt should have done more. Checked the rafts better, kept the men awake longer, held on to Carlos tighter, kept them alive. Simon dies sometime in the early morning. He just stops breathing. No gasping, no struggle. One moment he's there, the next he's not. Matt checks for a pulse, nothing. John helps him lift the body. They lower Simon into the water and Matt says a few quiet words. He doesn't know if Simon was religious. He doesn't know anything about him really. Just that he was young, maybe 25, maybe younger. Too young to die in the Southern Ocean. They all were. The sun comes up again, the 3rd day. Matt can barely move now. His body is shutting down piece by piece. His hands don't work. His legs are numb. His thoughts drift in and out. Christian is in bad shape too. His breathing is labored. His skin is gray. He stares at nothing. Only John seems to have any strength left. He's still bailing water, still checking the horizon. I see something, John says suddenly. Matt's heart lurches. What? There, look. Matt forces himself to sit up, to focus. And there, maybe 10 miles away, is a shape. A ship. Matt's breath catches. Is that? It's a ship. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. For the first time in days, Matt feels something other than cold and fear. He feels hope. They'll see us, John says. They have to see us. But the ship doesn't change course. It stays on the horizon, distant and unreachable. Wave something, John shouts. Anything bright. They don't have anything bright. Their clothes are dark. The raft is gray. The emergency kit is empty. The flashlight, Matt says. John digs through the kit, finds the waterlogged flashlight. He tries it. Nothing. Come on, John mutters, shaking it. Come on. It flickers once, then dies. John throws it into the water and screams. A raw, desperate sound. The ship keeps moving. And then slowly, it disappears over the horizon. John collapses back into the raft, breathing hard. Matt doesn't say anything. There's nothing to say. They were so close. And it didn't matter. Christian dies in the afternoon. He doesn't say anything. Doesn't make a sound. He just leans back, closes his eyes, and slips away. Matt and John are too weak to lift him. They leave his body in the raft. Now it's just the 2 of them. The Sudur Havid was old, everyone knew that. Matt had heard the complaints. The crew talked about it constantly. The pumps didn't work. The hull leaked. The safety equipment was outdated. But they'd kept fishing. Because that's what you do. You take the jobs you can get. You go where the money is. And sometimes that kills you. Matt thinks about that now. About the decisions made by people far away. by company executives who never set foot on a trawler, by regulators who signed off on certifications without checking the ship, by a system that valued profit over lives. 26 men went into the water. How many are left? Matt doesn't know. The other raft flipped. The men clinging to it are gone. There might be other survivors out there drifting alone. Or maybe it's just him and John, the last two. I'm not going to make it, John says. They're lying in the raft, too exhausted to sit up. The sky is dark again. The fourth night. Don't say that, Matt rasps. I can feel it, my heart, it's slowing down. You're going to make it. Matt. John's voice is calm, resigned. If you get rescued and I don't, tell my family I love them, okay? You'll tell them yourself. Promise me. Matt's throat tightens. I promise. John nods. Good. They don't speak after that. Matt listens to John's breathing. It's shallow, irregular. And then, sometime before dawn, it stops. Matt is alone. He doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He just lies there staring at the sky. 4 days in the Southern Ocean. 26 men. How many are left? Maybe just him. Maybe none. Matt closes his eyes. He's so tired. It would be easy to let go, to stop fighting. But something keeps him awake. Biscuit, his daughter, his wife, John's family. All the families. Someone has to make it. Someone has to tell the story. So Matt keeps breathing. He doesn't know for how much longer, but he keeps breathing. The plane finds him on the 5th day. Matt doesn't hear it at first. His ears are ringing. His mind is drifting. He's somewhere between consciousness and nothing, a gray space where time doesn't exist. But then he hears it. A low rumble, distant but growing louder. His eyes open. The sky is still gray, but there's something in it now. A dark shape growing larger. A plane. Matt tries to move. His body doesn't respond. His arms won't lift. His voice won't work. But the plane keeps coming. Lower, closer. It's a New Zealand Air Force Orion. A search and rescue aircraft. It circles once, twice, then drops low over the water. Matt sees the side door open, sees someone looking out. They've seen him. The plane circles again, then climbs and disappears. Matt wants to scream, to wave, to do something, but he can't. He can only lie there and hope. An hour later, maybe less, a ship arrives. The Koyo Maru, a Japanese fishing vessel. It was the closest ship when the Orion relayed Matt's position. Matt watches through blurred vision as the ship approaches. Men on deck. A life ring thrown over the side. Voices, shouting in Japanese, then in English. We see you, hold on. But Matt can't hold on. He can barely stay conscious. Strong hands reach down, grab him, lift him out of the raft. He's on the deck, wrapped in blankets. Someone is checking his pulse, his temperature. You're going to be okay, a voice says. Matt tries to speak. His lips move, but no sound comes out. Don't talk, save your strength. But Matt has to. He has to know. The others, he whispers. The man leaning over him, a medic, pauses. Were there others with you? Yes, in the raft, and another raft. Did you find them? The medic glances at someone else. Another crew member. We're still searching, the medic says carefully. But Matt sees it in their faces. He's the only one they've found. Matt learns the details later. After he's been medevaced to a hospital in New Zealand. After the doctors treat his hypothermia, his frostbite, his dehydration. After he can think clearly again. The Sudur Havid went down with 26 men on board. 16 bodies were recovered. Most of them found floating in life jackets or clinging to debris. 10 men were never found. 3 men survived. Matt Lewis was one of them. The other 2, Christian Olafsson and Simon Clark, were found by another rescue vessel. They'd been in the second raft, the one that flipped. Somehow, impossibly, they'd held on, but only barely. Simon died in the hospital 3 days later. Multiple organ failure, severe hypothermia. His body had endured too much. Christian survived, but he lost 8 fingers to frostbite, and he never went to sea again. Matt was the strongest of the survivors. Physically, mentally. He was also the one who couldn't stop thinking about the men who didn't make it. The investigation came later. The New Zealand authorities launched a full inquiry into the sinking. They examined the wreck, interviewed survivors, reviewed records. What they found wasn't surprising, not to the men who'd been on the ship. The Sudur Havid was a death trap. She'd been inadequately maintained. Her pumps were old and inefficient. Her hull had been patched repeatedly but never properly repaired. Her safety equipment was outdated. Her crew training was minimal. She should never have been certified to fish in the Southern Ocean. But she was. Because the regulatory system was broken. Because companies cut corners. Because profit mattered more than lives. The inquiry issued recommendations, new safety standards, better inspections, improved training. But none of it brought back the dead. Matt went home to England. He held his wife, hugged his kids, pet Biscuit until the dog got annoyed and wandered off. He tried to go back to normal. But there is no normal after something like that. He'd wake up at night gasping, feeling the cold water around him. He'd see Carlos's face, Dave's, Einar's. All the men who'd looked at him with hope in their eyes, believing they'd be rescued, believing Matt could save them. The guilt was crushing. He hadn't done anything wrong. John had been right about that. Matt was just another man in a raft. He'd fought as hard as anyone. But knowing that didn't help. Survivor's guilt doesn't respond to logic. John's family reached out to Matt. They wanted to thank him, wanted to know about John's final hours. Matt told them the truth. That John had been strong, that he'd fought until the end, that he'd asked Matt to tell them he loved them. They cried, Matt cried with them. And then they asked him to speak at John's funeral. Matt did. He stood in a small church in Iceland, surrounded by people he didn't know, and talked about a man he'd only known for a few months. A man who'd saved his life just by being there, just by refusing to give up. Afterward, John's wife pulled Matt aside. "Thank you," she said, "for trying, for staying with him." "I didn't do enough," Matt said. She shook her head. "You did everything you could, and you came home. You get to tell his story, that matters." Matt Lewis wrote a book a few years later, Last Man Off. It's the full account of the Sudur Havid disaster. The storm, the sinking, the 5 days in the raft, the men who lived, the men who died. It's not an easy read. Matt doesn't pull punches. He talks about the fear, the cold, the moment he watched men slip away, the guilt that still haunts him. But he also talks about resilience, about the human will to survive, about the men who fought to the very end. The book is a memorial, not just for John, but for all 23 men who died. Carlos, Dave, Einar, Tommy, Simon, and 18 others whose names deserve to be remembered. Men who went to sea to earn a living, who trusted a ship that wasn't seaworthy, who fought for their lives in one of the harshest environments on Earth, and who, through no fault of their own, didn't come home. Matt still thinks about the Southern Ocean. He doesn't go back. He doesn't fish anymore. But sometimes on quiet nights he closes his eyes and he's there again. In the raft. In the cold. Listening to the waves. Watching men disappear. And he wonders why him. Why did he survive when so many others didn't? He doesn't have an answer. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe survival is random. A lottery of wind and waves and timing. Or maybe, just maybe, he survived so he could bear witness. So that the world would know what happened. So that the men who died wouldn't be forgotten. The Sudur Havid lies somewhere on the floor of the Southern Ocean. 2,000 meters down, in the dark and the cold. A grave for a ship that should never have sailed. And a reminder that the sea doesn't forgive, that the ocean takes, and that survival isn't about strength or skill. Sometimes it's just about holding on. One more second, one more breath, one more wave, until rescue comes, or until it doesn't. Matt Lewis held on, and 23 men didn't. He carries them with him. Every day, he always will.